I have some interesting questions and thoughts about advertising, especially because that was actually the career path that I sort of unintentionally went down, in some sense. I studied digital media, and so like if you could put me right now into any digital media agency, and I would likely be able to raise millions of dollars for companies through advertising. But what's interesting is that I just don't feel good about that. And in fact, I'm starting a business that's just on the side. Well, I guess it's my bread and butter, but it's not advertising, because I don't feel good about advertising. I don't feel good about putting something in front of somebody's face that they see, where they see thousands of other things in front of their face. At some point it just annoys them, right? We've all become so desensitized to advertising at this point. We are so desensitized because of how many ads we see per day. I've seen various reports from different sources. If you Google it, you're going to see different numbers. I think the number 347 is like the average ads people see per day. But then I've seen numbers all the way from 4 to 10,000. If you live in like New York and you're walking down the street and the skyscrapers have 10 ads per side of the buildings, and so you're seeing hundreds of ads in your field of view every day on your way to work, like this is just what happens with people. And so it's like we're at a point with advertising where it's so like disturbingly oversaturated that it's like Cyberpunk 2077 or Blade Runner 2049, where it means nothing. Because like, at least for me, I could be wrong, but I am so deeply desensitized to advertising, and I feel so uncomfortable about it because advertising has gotten to a point where it's had to become very psychologically manipulative in order to get people's attention. Heck, even with things like YouTube and social media, we have to do that. And so, for myself, being completely honest, like I have to make sure that when I make my videos, there's something that people can click on and understand what they're getting. But I also want to not be super manipulative, right? Because all ads now have to be that way. They have to be like really manipulative in some sense psychologically, in order for people to click because of how competitive they've become. And so, and I can't imagine where we would be 40 years from now with them. And so it's really, really sad and sort of disappointing to me that we've kind of gotten to this point, because like I just don't even know that they do anything anymore. They don't for me. I mean, on YouTube, if I see an ad, like I literally am at the point where I just pay for YouTube Premium and you can make fun of me. But I do that because I just don't want my time wasted with things I'm never going to buy. I would rather pay money to avoid the advertisements. And then in any service that I use, same for Spotify, I would rather avoid the advertisements because it feels disrespectful to me and of my time, because there's no world where I just know, I know too much. I know I'm being manipulated, and I know I'm being sent something that I'm not going to listen to, that I'm not going to be interested in. And obviously there are people out there that advertise honestly, and that's good. And I'm not knocking that at all, but I'm just saying that the entire space has become revolving. It has reached a point of revolving around all of that manipulation. And it's really fascinating too with things even like YouTube, where like, and digital media and social media, where you see a YouTube video from someone and in the beginning they say this video is sponsored by something like Surfshark or NordVPN or Raid Shadow Legends, and it's like there are a couple of YouTubers out there that maybe integrate it really well. So for instance, I'll just straight up say it, but like there's a guy named Ice Cream Sandwich. His videos and his ads are great because they're actually funny, and so he found a way to make them interesting, and so they don't necessarily feel so manipulative outright. But at the same time, like it gets to be a really interesting conversation about like which YouTubers and which people on social media that sponsor themselves and have sponsorships, which ones are like the bad guys a little bit and which ones are the good guys. And it comes down to sort of the conversation about which, like what is the nature of their content. And I don't necessarily think people think it's an issue to support their families. I don't think that that's bad. I think that making YouTube a career is something that everybody, and social media career, that something people want to do. Like that's fine. But it comes down to sort of asking the question of are bought words worth trusting, right? Like, do we trust the words that people say if they've been bought? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to some of those questions, but I tend to sort of do a bit of like I kind of think of the character of some of these people, being up for sort of question a little bit, up for grabs. And there's sort of like an axiom between like I said, guys that are like Ice Cream Sandwich, where it's like funny and it's lighthearted, and I don't take the ad seriously super much, and I just think, oh, it's fine, it doesn't really bother me. But then there are the ads out there that are Mr. Beast level ads. Maybe not his. I don't watch his videos, but I'm sure there's ads on them. But like videos that where the whole goal is to blow up and to get as many views as possible and all that stuff, and then to have a sponsor on there go, we'll do $5,000 or $10,000 per video, and the goal is to make money, and the goal is to steal people's attention and then sell them a video. And you basically feel like I don't want to feel like I'm stealing people's time, and I don't like having my time feel like it's stolen. And so the character of people that do that goes on display, and it becomes a real challenge for me to know how I feel about people like that, and how I feel about people making content like that, and it's disappointing that like companies are at this point. I think advertising being the norm isn't necessarily bad, but I do think that the nature of how the strategy works, if it's a manipulative strategy, it's really hard. If you have somebody go up and they say, my favorite game is Raid Shadow Legends, I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And in fact, just like pretty much everyone listening, I'm sure in every one of those sponsorship videos, I just skip it. I just skip the sponsorship, right? And so could you make a case, well, a sponsorship's a necessary evil so people can create? I mean, maybe you make that argument. But at the same time, and I can skip it. I can just skip the ad. But at the same time, like, are there people out there that are doing it for nefarious reasons? It's like, I think so. And so I guess the big question as to whether or not they're working anymore is interesting, because we're still using them. Like, they must be working because companies are still using them. But I'm also curious if companies are still using them because we haven't found a better solution. And even if we had found a better solution, it's still going to be hyper competitive anyways. And so I don't think ads are going anywhere. But I am disappointed in the fact that we've reached an oversaturation with them, that they've just become desensitizing. And we sort of judge people on the merits of whether or not they sell themselves out. I don't want to do that. And I think a lot of people understand what I'm talking about when I mention that there are just so many people that sell out, and it makes me sort of disappointed and sad.